So why does driving this Civic feel so amazing to me? Or really, why do cheap cars sometimes feel better than they should? Let me tell you something. I have spent the past several months obsessing over cars. I'm the type of person who will read chassis codes, paint codes, engine codes, just random details that normal people probably do not care about. I have modified cars. I have researched cars I realistically had no business buying. I have spent way too much time thinking about which vehicle would give me the perfect combination of performance, reliability, comfort, sound, personality, all of that. And after all of that thinking, one of the things I have centered the most attention around is my 2002 Honda Civic. It is not an EG, it is not an EK, it is not one of the hype Civics people build into some clean little time capsule. It is just an old Civic. And yet this car feels better than it should. Not because it is objectively great in the material sense, it is not. It is loud, it is old, it has glaring compromises, it has mediocre noise, vibration, and harshness. Rain hitting the roof sounds violent. Humidity somehow feels like it seeps directly through the car. It honestly feels like an automotive tent. But psychologically, it feels weirdly complete. Okay, not complete. That is probably the wrong word. It feels sufficient. And there is a difference. I bought this car for $2,000 from a Russian man on Facebook Marketplace who barely spoke any English. I saw the listing, saw that it already had around 10 likes, and apparently there were 3 other people claiming they were coming to buy it. So in my mind, I was like, holy shit, I have to go get this thing right now. I woke up at 8 in the morning and drove to his house. The seller basically knew yes, no, and no problem. That was most of our communication. But he seemed like he meant well. The car was a manual, and I had never driven stick before. He tried teaching me, but he was visibly nervous watching me operate his car. Eventually, he offered to drive it back to my house for me, which was honestly extremely nice. He drops it off. I am excited. I finally have the car. I get inside because I want to start learning immediately. I give it some gas. I start letting the clutch out. I stall it. Then I stall it again. Then I stall it a third time. And after the third time, the car just stops moving. I am sitting there thinking, what the hell did I just do? Turns out the CV joint had snapped. It literally snapped in half on the same day I bought the car. 24 years of taking a beating, and apparently it decided that my third stall in the driveway was the final straw. That was only the beginning. The radiator was leaking, the cooling system needed work. At one point, I had to work on the entire cooling system near the back of a private school. Yes, you heard that correctly. The car basically blew up on the road leading toward a private school. So this vehicle was not effortless. It became a huge time sink. I put a lot of thought, energy, and frustration into stabilizing it. And I need to acknowledge that because otherwise this entire video would be dishonest. I cannot sit here and tell you that old cheap cars never ask for attention. They absolutely do. Sometimes they ask for way too much attention. You are driving and suddenly hear a noise that did not exist yesterday. Then you are thinking, is that the serpentine belt? Is something rubbing? Is the radiator leaking again? Do I need to address this today, next week, or next month? That uncertainty tax is very real. But after I finally stabilized the car, something changed. It stopped feeling like a broken object I had to rescue. It started feeling free. I could drive this $2,000 tin can onto an actual public road beside all the $40,000 crossovers and SUVs. And it worked. It could merge onto the highway. It could carry me around the city. It could transport other people. It could hold my belongings, play music, and give me a functioning life. And when you really stop and think about that, it is kind of insane. This old metal box is capable of sustaining highway speed for hours while protecting a human body from weather and moving it across an entire state. That is already an enormous amount of capability. But because ordinary cars are everywhere, we stop seeing how impressive that actually is. We compare them to newer cars with better interiors, more power, larger screens, better safety systems, and 20 features we did not know we needed until somebody advertised them to us. And obviously, many of those improvements are real. Modern cars are safer, They are quieter, they are faster, they are more efficient, their crash structures are substantially better. My Civic is not secretly better at all of those things. It is not. But there is something psychologically light about a machine that feels legible. That word matters. Legible. A modern engine bay can feel like a bee's nest of computers, wiring, sensors, plastic covers, and proprietary parts. You look inside and think, I do not even know where I would begin. My Civic feels almost like lawn equipment. Engine, transmission, clutch, cables, cooling system, brakes, tires. Obviously, each of those systems still contains real engineering. The car is not literally primitive, but you can form a mental model of what is happening. You can look at the throttle cable and understand that tightening or adjusting it changes how the pedal responds. You can look at the radiator and fans and think, I could actually disassemble this. I may not know how yet, but I can understand the logic. And that creates agency. The relationship changes from, I hope the machine is okay, to, I can probably learn what is wrong. Humans have always wanted agency. We want autonomy. We want freedom. The problem is that a lot of people misunderstand what freedom actually means. We think freedom is accumulation. More money, more features, more status, more capability. We imagine there is some point where we finally acquire enough things and then arrive at freedom. But that is not always how it works. Sometimes the object you bought to increase your freedom quietly begins owning you. Take a modern car payment. You sign some paperwork, and it does not feel that serious in the moment. Maybe it is $500 or $600 every month for 72 months. You think, I can afford that. And maybe you can. But zoom out. That vehicle now has a claim on part of every future month before that month has even happened. You have to protect the paint. You have to worry about adding mileage. You have to think about depreciation. A strange warning light could mean an expensive sensor, a turbo issue, a transmission problem, or some electronic module you cannot diagnose yourself. The machine becomes another dependent in your life. You bought it to serve you, but now part of your life has to orbit around preserving it. That does not mean buying a nice car is stupid. Some people genuinely value the comfort, safety, performance, and experience enough for that trade to make sense. The point is that more is not free. More capability usually comes with more cost, more complexity, more exposure, and more maintenance. My Civic has the opposite problem. It does not give me much. It is loud. It is slow. It does not isolate me from the road. The crash protection cannot compete with a modern vehicle. Its age means I will continue dealing with old rubber, old seals, and parts that have been taking abuse for over 2 decades. Cheap can become unsafe. Simple can become crude. Old can become exhausting. I am not arguing that everybody should go buy the cheapest car on Facebook Marketplace from a man who only knows 3 English phrases. My own story proves how badly that can go. The real goal is not the cheapest possible machine. It is finding the point where capability is high enough, complexity is understandable, and the object does not dominate the person who owns it. That is why this Civic feels better than it should. It does not beat a modern car at comfort, safety, speed, or refinement. Again, it feels like an automotive tent. Rain pounds on the roof. Humidity enters the cabin. Every unfamiliar sound raises a new question. But then I pull onto a real highway, beside crossovers costing 20 times as much, and this 24-year-old tin can keeps moving with them. It takes me where I need to go. I own it outright. I can understand most of what is happening underneath me. And after everything I went through stabilizing it, the car stopped feeling like a problem I had purchased. It started feeling like freedom I had earned. That is why cheap cars can feel better than they should. They do not give you everything. They give you enough. And sometimes, enough asks for less of your life in return.